Hello, AP. Hello, Ceazor. Look, AP, my vault is getting pretty full. Didn't you hear? Version 2 is out. Hello and welcome to Ceazor's Snack Sandwich. Today we're on Ethereum taking a look at Yearn Finance's version 2 vaults. I'm going to show you the vaults just a little bit, and then I'm going to talk about how they work. Why are they different? Why are they version 2? Why are they not version 1 anymore? And I'll give you a better understanding of what's happening with the vaults and why they have decided to change them. So here we are, Yearn Finance. I'm not going to go through all these little things. They're pretty much the same as they used to be. They just look different. Okay, so if you want to find out more about what these different things are, you can check all the videos I have in my channel. I have videos on all kinds of things about Yearn Finance. But today we're going to talk about these three things. So we have version 2 USDC, version 2 DAI, and version 2 Hegic. And then all the version 1s are pretty much the same as they used to be. So if you want to watch a video on Hegic and find out what is happening in here, what the money is doing, you can watch this video here. Now we have these other two, USDC and DAI. They are pretty much the same thing, and I described what they are doing here in this video here. So you can watch it here. Okay, so before we can understand what they're doing, let's take a look at what makes it different. What makes a version 2 vault different than a version 1? And for this, I'm going to swing over to my trademark flowchart. Okay, so here we have Dollar Bill, and Dollar Bill has decided to take a look at Yearn Finance again. And he's seen that the website has changed quite a bit, and he sees this new logo in the front when he first goes in, and he's like, wow, this is different. Wonder what's going on in here. So he hears that, oh, some are version 2 and some are version 1. What does version 2 mean? Well, the first difference between version 1 and version 2 is that version 2 vaults are multi-strategy capable. Okay, now they don't necessarily all have multi-strategies, but they are capable of handling them. You'll understand what this means by the end of this video, so stick around and find out what it means. Okay, so first thing we need to understand is this here. There's a new setup called the Vault Registry, and this is the idea that, in order to become a vault strategy inside a single vault, so each vault has its own vault strategies. And so in order to build a strategy for a vault, you need to design it. So some guy will, hack away and design a vault and, learn about DeFi and learn about hacking and learn about coding and build up a strategy that he thinks is good. They call them experimental strategies. You will see a tab at the top called experimental, and that means the status of this strategy is currently experimental, and it's inside the experimental vault. Okay? So he's designed something that he thinks will work well, and he's decided to test it, right? So if you want to get into these, then you can get into them. However, you have to get past the bouncer, and the bouncer is going to check if you're on the guest list by either having one Wi-Fi token, one whole Wi-Fi token, or you can bribe him with some money and get inside. Now, the idea of this is that these are experimental, and you might lose your money, so they want people who are either well off or know the ecosystem well enough that they're not risking their money. And the second reason is that maybe people want to get into this early because some of these strategies are farming tokens that will not last forever, and maybe by the time this strategy is ready to be put into the main vault, the farming tokens will be finished and that will be done. So it's not a bad idea to try to get into these experimentals, but they are more risky. Okay, so the next step here, we have the multi-sig. Now these are a bunch of guys who know what they're doing about Yearn Finance, and they will eventually approve strategies that they think are good, and they will add them to a vault. So if this is, say, in this case, it's USDC, if they think this USDC, strategy is pretty good, then they will sign the OK and let it to go into the main vault for the public use. Okay, so next, what does it do? Okay, so like I said, it's multi-strategy. So maybe this vault already has several strategies inside. We have this strategy over here that's doing this kind of thing with the money, and we have this strategy over here that's doing this kind of thing with the money. So each of strategy has their own lend allowance or debt allowance. So they can borrow money from the vault in order to do the strategy, and there's a certain allowance that they are set. Now the multi-sig also sets this allowance, so maybe they would give this person, let's say, 10,000 And this strategy is very, very well done. So it will get $100,000 or whatever, the multi-sig will allow this vault strategy to borrow money from the vault up to a certain point. Okay, so this is a kind of a new feature of these new version 2 vaults. Now, this vault here can at some times return a loss, can tell them that they lost the money. And if they lost the money, then they won't get any more back. But if they return the money, then they can borrow it back again, and they can keep going in and out, in and out, in and out. But it's okay if they record a loss, because sometimes this vault might have some sort of might have some sort of like cost to start up, and maybe they start up the cost. They have to tell them there's a loss, but the funds are still here running, so they just cannot get more money out depending on how much of a loss. Like say they say, oh, there's $5 loss and you've given me $10. So they could still possibly get, say they borrowed $5 and they're allowed $10 and they lost the $5 to set it up because it's a cost to set it up. And then it starts building. They could still borrow the $5 and so forth. You get the idea, right? So the debt allowance allows them how much they can take. And it's okay if they report a loss now. In the past, it was all strategies had to be lossless. So there was no possibility that you could report a loss. It just wasn't allowed. So now the strategies have more leeway, more choices, more options out there in the market, because they can do things that can initially start with a loss, but then gain up more. Okay? So you get the idea, right? So now there are multiple strategies and they can both do this sort of thing, right? So let's go on to the next thing. So each strategy has a performance fee. And this performance fee is usually split 50-50 between the strategist, the person who designed this strategy, and the vault or the treasury of Yearn Finance. So all the profits, not the amount of money inside, the profits are charged 20%, and half of that will go to the strategist and half goes to the treasury. Now the strategist can change this percentage if he wants. He could say, oh, I only want 25%. And that way he'd be lowering the performance fee from 20% down to 15%, because 10% would go to the treasury and 5% would go to him. And he could lower this down and down and down so that he doesn't take anything if he doesn't want, just to incentivize more use into this vault strategy. Okay? So this is another new feature of Vault version 2 vaults. Now, let's say he were to decide he wants to put his token into the vault, whatever that token might be for this specific vault, and he would get back his YB token share, right? His key token, or whatever you want to call it. So this is normal. This is what happened in version 1. But now there's a 2% annual management fee instead of a withdrawal fee. There's no more withdrawal. You can withdraw at any time. There will be costs if you try to withdraw too much. Let's say there's $100,000 here, and there's $1 million here and $2 million here, and you try to withdraw 500,000. There's only 100,000 for you to withdraw here, so it has to pull from these. So there will be an extra little cost for that, but it's now free to withdraw your money from there. But there is an annual management fee that each time they do some harvesting, so each time money goes in here, then it kind of calculates what your annual management fee is. So just keep in mind, you have to pay 2% annual management fee to the vault itself. Okay, next one. So in the past, a strategy or a vault, these were all one thing, right? In the past, they could do harvest calls. So they could send money into the money pot. So whatever this money pot might be, some sort of, other protocol that is giving out money for some reason. So they could send money in there, and then they could do what they call a harvest call. And that's basically pull all the money out. Okay, pull all the money back to the vault. So this is now changed a little bit, okay? Now they can do these things called tend. So maybe they need to move money around, or maybe they need to pull a little bit of money out, or they need to just change some features within these money pots. Now they can do that with a tend call. So they've added an extra call, an extra function to the vault coding and the vault developers plan. So when a developer is designing a vault, he now has two choices of things he could do when the vault when it needs to be done, right? So that pretty much covers what a vault, the new vaults do. I'm not talking about strategies. All these strategies are different. I'm talking about what makes a version 2 vault different than a version 1 vault. So let's just try to say them one more time to summarize. They are multi-strategy. There's a vault registry, so anyone can build a strategy and put it into an experimental vault. And then the multisig will allow it to join the main vault, what the public can use. You can join the experimental vault through paying the bouncer. The vaults now have this performance fee, and all the strategies have these two functions now, harvest and tend. Okay, so I hope this has been useful, and I hope you understand a little bit more what's going on in version 2 vaults and why they are so special. And thank you so much for watching. Hello, thank you so much for watching. And if you'd like to support the channel, there are a few ways you can help me out a lot. Number one is I have a Gitcoin grant. This is a pretty unique way to help out. Basically, the way this system works is if you supply me with any kind of donation, then the protocol itself will also match your donation with like an increasing amount the more and the more the people donate to me. So for example, if you were to give me 1 DAI, the protocol will give me 4 DAI, which is great, you know, so your 1 DAI can go a long way. So please feel free to come here and check this out. You know, link to this will be in the description. Another way you could support me is by going to YGift, link in the description. And here, where this says collect for me, it would say tip. You tip this, and you could give me some YUSD if you want. And that would definitely help me out quite a bit. Another way you could support me is you could check out my Rarible store and purchase an NFT. Now, the best kind of support is just you watching my videos and liking them and subscribing. So if you did that, thanks so much for doing that, and goodbye.